Good evening and welcome. Close your eyes and let the world drift away as we journey through the quiet, ancient realms of Norse mythology. Tonight, you will wander among gods, giants, and heroes, following the slow, gentle pulse of Yggdrasil, hearing the whispers of creation, struggle, and rebirth. Let the rhythm of frost and fire, of oceans and forests, guide your mind into a calm, dreamlike peace. This is a story of worlds rising and falling, told as a lullaby for your sleep, where each chapter carries you deeper into the serene embrace of the 9 realms. Before anything existed, there was only the Ginnunga Gap, a yawning void of infinite silence. No sound, no light, only emptiness stretching endlessly in all directions. It was a place without time or memory, a canvas upon which the cosmos would one day paint its story. The void was not threatening, only infinite, a stillness that held both potential and peril. To the north lay Niflheim, a frozen expanse of ice and biting mist. Rivers of frozen venom flowed from its icy mountains, and a heavy fog clung to the surface, swallowing even the faintest spark of light. Here the cold whispered secrets that had never been spoken, and the frost held memories of things yet to come. To the south, Muspelheim blazed with eternal fire. Mountains of flame and rivers of molten rock poured from the heart of the land, and the heat was alive, crackling like a living entity. Sparks danced upward into the void, carrying with them a promise of creation, power, and transformation. The fire roared in contrast to the frozen silence of the north, an eternal tension waiting for the moment it would meet the ice. At the boundary where Niflheim's frost met Muspelheim's flame, the first stirrings of life began. Dripping meltwater from the ice combined with sparks from the fire, and in this liminal space, the first living being came into existence. Ymir, a creature of immense size and chaotic power, opened his eyes upon a world that had not yet been formed. His breath fogged the air, shaping the first mists of the universe. Beside Ymir appeared Audhumla, the primordial cow, whose tongue ran over the salty blocks of ice. With every lick, shapes emerged, revealing the contours of flesh and bone, and slowly she uncovered Buri, the first of the gods. His eyes blinked open, seeing the void around him and feeling the pulse of life for the first time. Through this, creation had a spark, a consciousness that could shape the destiny of all things. Ymir's body teemed with potential. From him would descend the giants, the first chaotic children of the universe, whose strength and enormity would challenge the coming gods. His presence filled the Ginnunga Gap with a mixture of awe and fear, for within his body lay both the raw power of creation and the threat of destruction. The world, as yet unformed, waited for the actions of those who would rise from his essence. Audhumla's care was constant. Her licking of the ice revealed more than just Buri. Each drip of water carried energy. Each motion of her tongue shaped the potential of the cosmos. Her actions were patient and deliberate, and the first gods learned from her rhythm, understanding that creation itself requires time, attention, and persistence. The void, though silent, began to pulse like a heartbeat, as though it had been waiting for this very moment. From this pulse, light and shadow began to emerge, laying the groundwork for the realms that would one day exist. The silence was no longer empty, it vibrated with possibility, carrying the first whispers of fate and destiny. Ymir stirred again, his chaotic form shaping the first patterns of life. The giant's movements shifted the mists, and each breath of his made the frost crackle and the fire flare. The cosmos, previously inert, began to hum with energy, as if the act of existing had awakened the void itself, preparing it for the rise of gods, giants, and mortals alike. And so the stage was set. From the quiet of nothingness and the tension of opposing extremes, the universe waited, poised on the brink of becoming. A pulse, a breath, a spark. That was all it took for silence to transform into the first heartbeat of a world yet to be born. The void, once empty, now whispered its first story, inviting all who would listen to witness the unfolding of creation.
Buri's grandson, Odin, grew up amidst the nascent cosmos alongside his brothers Vili and Ve. Though the giants roamed freely, their chaotic presence unsettled the brothers. They understood that order must emerge from chaos, that life without structure would be fleeting and destructive. The decision to act weighed heavily, for it meant confronting the very being from which all life had sprung, Ymir, the father of the giants. The three brothers rose against Ymir, combining their strength, courage, and cunning. With a mighty strike, they slew the colossal giant, and in his fall, the cosmos shuddered. His death was not merely an act of violence, it was a transformation, a turning point where chaos began to be shaped into form, giving birth to a structured world from the body of the primeval being. From Ymir's flowing blood, they shaped the oceans, great and turbulent, yet capable of nurturing life. Rivers, lakes, and seas poured across the empty land, wrapping the world in a vast network of water. In this new element, life would later take root, floating on the surface of possibility, stretching the boundaries of creation further than even the gods had imagined. The flesh of Ymir became the fertile soil of Midgard. Fields and forests, valleys and plains rose from his body, soft and yielding beneath the tread of creatures yet to be born. The earth itself held a memory of its origin, a subtle chaos that whispered beneath the roots of trees and through the flow of rivers, a reminder of the giant's enduring presence in every stone and hill. His bones became mountains, jagged and immense, rising as sentinels across the landscape. Peaks pierced the sky, cliffs carved deep ravines, and the bones stood as monuments to strength and permanence. They were reminders that life emerges not without struggle, and that creation itself carries the echoes of sacrifice, a foundation built upon the vastness of a being who had existed before time. From Ymir's skull, the brothers forged the heavens. It arched above the land, a vast dome that cradled the sky and separated the chaos of Muspelheim from the order of Midgard. Within it, they scattered sparks, leaping from the fires of the south, forming stars, constellations, and celestial patterns. Each spark became a guide, a map for the unfolding of life, a witness to the eternal dance of light and darkness. Clouds were formed from Ymir's brains, heavy and brooding, shifting across the sky with moods of their own. They carried rain, thunder, and the subtle currents that would shape weather, fertility, and life. Even in the heavens, the memory of chaos lingered, a delicate balance of unpredictability and order, reminding gods and mortals alike that creation is always entwined with uncertainty. The brothers stood back to see their work. Oceans shimmered, mountains rose, skies gleamed with stars, and the soil promised life.
In the silence after creation, a profound awareness settled upon them. Their actions had birthed a world that would live and breathe, that would experience joy, sorrow, triumph, and tragedy. They had given form to chaos, yet the pulse of its original power remained hidden, in the depths, in the mountains, and in the hearts of those yet to come. The transformation of Ymir's body also served as a lesson to the gods themselves. Creation demands both sacrifice and vision, patience and courage. The architecture of the cosmos was not merely physical, it was moral and philosophical, teaching that the universe must be guided by balance, foresight, and the wisdom to recognize when to shape and when to yield. And so the world took its first breath, standing upon the bones of a giant and beneath a sky adorned with stars. Chaos had been tempered into structure, but it remained within, a whisper beneath the soil, a spark in the stars, and a reminder that life, for all its beauty, is born from the intertwining of order and primordial power. The stage was now ready for the world tree, Yggdrasil, to rise and connect the realms, weaving destiny through the fabric of existence. At the heart of the newly shaped cosmos stood Yggdrasil, the world tree, immense and eternal. Its roots delved deep into the unseen corners of existence, drinking from the sacred wells that held the knowledge and mysteries of the universe. Its branches reached high above the clouds, brushing against the veil of the heavens, carrying with them the whispers of gods, giants, and mortals alike. The tree's immense trunk served as the backbone of creation, linking the 9 realms together. Each realm rested upon a branch or root. Asgard, the home of the gods, Midgard, the domain of humans, Jotunheim, the land of giants, and the others, each with its own purpose, each interconnected by the rhythm of Yggdrasil's life. The tree was more than a bridge, it was a living conduit, pulsing with the energy of all worlds. Beneath its roots flowed 3 sacred wells. The well of Urd was tended by the Norns, weavers of fate, who spun the destinies of gods and men alike. The waters shimmered with possibilities, reflecting choices yet to be made, and each droplet carried the weight of countless lives. The Norns worked silently, their movements precise, as though even a whisper might alter the threads of destiny. Another route dipped into the well of Mimir, where knowledge flowed like a river, deep and unfathomable. Here, secrets of the past and glimpses of the future shimmered in the dark waters. Odin himself would one day seek its wisdom, paying a steep price to drink from its depths. The well reminded all who approached that true understanding comes only through sacrifice and patience. At the 3rd root lay the spring Hvergelmir, the source of rivers and the resting place of countless serpents and creatures. Its bubbling waters carried both life and decay, teaching that creation is never pure, that the cycle of birth and death is intertwined, and that even the smallest being contributes to the balance of all worlds. High above, perched in Yggdrasil's highest branches, a great eagle watched the expanse of the cosmos. Its eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom, seeing the motion of stars, the flowing of rivers, and the weaving of fate. It spoke rarely, but when it did, the words rippled across the branches, carried by the wind to every realm. The eagle represented clarity, foresight, and the ever-present watchfulness of the universe. At the roots, the serpent Nidhogg gnawed relentlessly at the foundation of the tree. Its teeth carved furrows in the soil, spilling venom into the earth, a reminder that even the strongest structures are not immune to decay and chaos. Between the eagle and the serpent ran Ratatoskar, the restless squirrel, carrying messages, insults, and secrets. No place in the universe remained silent. Even the branches of Yggdrasil hummed with the life of countless beings. Yggdrasil was more than a tree. It was a living symbol of connection. It taught that every action rippled outward, touching realms seen and unseen. Every whisper, every decision, every drop of water from its roots carried significance, reminding gods and mortals alike that life is intertwined in ways both subtle and profound. The tree also held the cycles of life and death within its branches. Leaves sprouted, withered, and fell, only to nourish the soil below. Birds nested, wolves prowled beneath its canopy, and streams carried sustenance from root to branch. In this way, Yggdrasil was a mirror of the cosmos, a network of energy, of time, of life, constantly renewing itself. And so Yggdrasil stood, silent yet alive, a bridge between realms, a guardian of fate, and a witness to all that was and all that would ever be. The world tree pulsed with the heartbeat of existence, and beneath its shadow, gods and mortals alike would take their first steps into the unfolding story of life, of struggle, and of wonder. On the newly formed shores of Midgard, Odin and his brothers Vili and Ve wandered, observing the world they had built. The mountains rose from Ymir's bones, the rivers shimmered with his blood, and the forests swayed gently in the unseen wind. Yet the land was empty, still and quiet, longing for life to awaken upon it. By the water's edge, they discovered two fallen logs washed up by the tides. One was ash, the other elm, worn smooth by the waves. The gods paused, sensing the potential within these simple forms. They understood that life could begin in the humblest of ways, that even the smallest spark could ignite a great story across the ages. Odin approached the ash and breathed into it, his breath carrying the spark of consciousness. Slowly, the log's surface shimmered, taking on warmth and awareness. A pulse, faint at first, then growing stronger, spread through the wood. From the breath of the All-Father, the first flicker of human thought and spirit ignited, a bridge between mortal and divine. Vili then touched both logs, imbuing them with sharp wit and a flowing river of emotions. Joy, sorrow, curiosity, and wonder began to stir within the forms. The logs, once lifeless, now quivered with potential, their tiny hearts beginning to beat in harmony with the pulse of the world around them. The first seeds of intelligence had been planted. They contributed the final gift, the five senses and the ability to speak. The logs, now fully alive, could see the beauty of the forests, feel the caress of the wind, taste the waters, smell the fertile earth, and hear the rustling of leaves. With the gift of speech, they could share their thoughts, dreams, and stories, connecting themselves to one another and to the wider world. The gods named these first humans Ask and Embla. Standing upright, they gazed at the horizon, blinking in wonder at the vast green expanse before them. They were fragile, yet infinitely resilient, small, yet connected to the grand tapestry of existence. The brothers felt pride and awe, knowing that from these two would come all of humankind. To protect them, the gods built a fence from Ymir's eyelashes, forming a barrier between Midgard and the giants of Jotunheim. The fence was both a shield and a reminder, that even the first humans were fragile, yet cherished, and that they would need guidance and guardianship from those who understood the ways of the cosmos. The brothers stepped back to watch Ask and Embla take their first steps upon the soil. Each footfall stirred the earth, and with each breath they began to learn the rhythm of life. The trees whispered, the rivers hummed, and the mountains seemed to nod in quiet approval. Life, once dormant, now moved gracefully across the land, weaving into the fabric of the universe. Odin, Vili, and Ve understood that their gifts were not simply survival, they were the potential for creativity, for stories, for dreams. In these first humans, the gods glimpsed the echo of themselves, the curiosity, the striving, the capacity for both good and mischief that would ripple through generations to come. And so Midgard blossomed with life. Ask and Embla walked among the trees, feeling the warmth of the sun and the cool mist of the morning. The land, once quiet, was now alive with wonder. The first humans had been given the breath of life, and with it, the eternal dance of growth, discovery, and story had begun, whispering gently across the cosmos, carrying the seeds of dreams for all who would come after. High above the clouds and beyond the reach of the wandering giants, the gods constructed Asgard, a radiant fortress suspended between the heavens and the earth. Its walls gleamed with gold, and its towers reflected the light of the stars. The realm was alive with the hum of divine energy, each stone and beam singing with the power of creation itself. The gods labored together, each leaving a mark upon Asgard. Odin's hall rose largest of all, the Hall of the Slain, where warriors who fell bravely in battle would one day gather. Its walls shimmered with runes, and its tables groaned under the weight of eternal feasts. Here, the pulse of valor and honor would resonate forever, a sanctuary for courage and loyalty. Around Odin's hall, the other Aesir built their homes. Thor raised a mighty hall filled with weapons, Mjolnir always at his side, ready to defend against the frost giants. Frigg crafted quiet gardens of serenity, spaces where gods could ponder, dream, and weave the threads of fate. Each hall and courtyard reflected the essence of its owner, shaping Asgard into a living reflection of divine character. The gods connected their realm to Midgard through the Bifrost, a shimmering rainbow bridge of fire and air. It stretched across the sky, delicate yet unbreakable, pulsating with the energy of countless steps taken by gods and, occasionally, mortals. Travelers crossing the Bifrost could feel the warmth of the sun and the chill of distant frostlands, a constant reminder of the balance between worlds. Asgard was not merely a fortress, it was a place of vigilance and learning. The Aesir trained here, honing their skills and wisdom. They walked the golden halls, discussed matters of fate, and observed the world below. The realm thrummed with the quiet discipline of those who understood that the cosmos demanded both strength and foresight, that power alone was not enough to maintain harmony. Yet even in these early days, shadows crept along the golden streets. Loki, the shapeshifter, wandered among the towers, curious and cunning, a spark of mischief that promised both wonder and trouble. Though Asgard was built to withstand the giants,
The gods sensed that their greatest challenges might not always come from outside, but sometimes from within. The beauty of Asgard was mirrored in its quiet corners. Gardens bloomed with eternal flowers, streams ran with crystal waters, and the air smelled of wild honey and fresh pine. Birds with feathers like molten gold sang from the branches of enchanted trees, their songs echoing across the realm. The sight of such serenity reminded the gods why they protected their creation so fiercely. The fortresses also held council halls where disputes could be resolved and ideas could be shared. Odin often presided over these gatherings, listening to the wisdom of gods and the advice of spirits. Decisions made here would ripple through all realms, shaping not only the fates of mortals, but also the unfolding story of the cosmos itself. Asgard, though magnificent, was a realm in preparation. Its beauty and strength masked the trials that would one day come: wars with giants, the rise of monstrous beings, and the ultimate destruction foretold by Ragnarok. Yet for now, the realm rested in golden calm, a sanctuary of divine order, where gods watched over the world and dreams of life and peace were nurtured.
Odin, the All-Father, was not satisfied with mere dominion over Asgard. His mind thirsted for knowledge, for the wisdom that spanned past, present, and future. He understood that power without insight could falter, and that the survival of the realms depended on seeing beyond what the eyes alone could perceive. His journey took him to the well of Mimir, nestled beneath the roots of Yggdrasil. The well's waters shimmered with cosmic truth, reflecting the light of stars and the depths of shadow. Here the guardian Mimir awaited, ancient and patient, aware that knowledge was a treasure demanding the highest of prices. Odin spoke of his quest, his desire to grasp the currents of fate and to understand the secrets of creation. Mimir's eyes, deep and reflective, measured the sincerity of the god before him. "To drink is to see," Mimir said, "but the gift demands a sacrifice, one that can never be undone." Without hesitation, Odin plucked his own eye and dropped it into the well. Pain seared through him, yet he did not falter. The loss of sight was replaced by the vision of all things, past, present, and potential futures. He saw the weaving of Yggdrasil, the movements of the giants, the birth of men, and the distant whisper of Ragnarok. Knowledge had a weight, and Odin bore it alone. With a single piercing eye, he became the seer of all worlds. Rivers of wisdom flowed into him, intertwining with thought, memory, and foresight. He began to perceive the delicate balance between chaos and order, life and death, light and shadow. Every whisper of the wind, every murmur from the roots of Yggdrasil carried meaning, and he learned to understand them all. Yet knowledge came with burdens. Odin glimpsed tragedies yet to unfold, betrayals yet to occur, and the inevitable death of gods and mortals alike. He understood that foresight was not merely a gift, but also a weight, a reminder that even the All-Father must sometimes watch helplessly as destiny runs its course. Despite the pain and sacrifice, Odin's resolve strengthened. He returned to Asgard, carrying the clarity of vision that would guide the gods for ages to come. He became both guardian and observer, protector of Midgard,
and teacher to men, a god whose insight transcended mortal understanding. The other Aesir recognized the transformation in their leader. His single eye glimmered with unspoken truths, and his presence commanded respect and reverence. Yet Odin remained humble, knowing that wisdom is not merely power, but responsibility, and that even gods must learn patience before they act. Odin's eye also became a symbol for mortals. Travelers, warriors, and poets looked to the All-Father for guidance, hoping to glimpse the clarity he carried. Through dreams, omens, and visions, the echoes of his insight flowed into human minds, quietly shaping thought, action, and imagination across Midgard.
Of all the gods of Asgard, none was as fierce and protective as Thor, the god of thunder. His red beard glimmered like the embers of a dying fire, and his eyes sparked like lightning across the clouds. He was the defender of both gods and mortals, standing as a living storm between order and chaos. Thor's home in Asgard reflected his nature, vast halls filled with weapons, training grounds where the earth itself seemed to tremble under the clash of sword and hammer. Here he honed his strength and skill, preparing for the battles that would come, knowing that giants, serpents, and forces beyond comprehension lurked at the edges of the worlds. At the center of his might was Mjolnir, his mountain-crushing hammer. Forged by master dwarves, it could shatter mountains, summon thunder, and return to his hand no matter the distance. To wield it, Thor also used iron gauntlets and a belt called Megingjord, which doubled his already immense strength, ensuring that he could stand against any enemy. His chariot, drawn by two magical goats, rolled across the skies with a rumble like distant thunder. When he traveled, the storm followed, rain pattering softly on the leaves of Midgard, and lightning flickering along the horizon. Even the gentlest thunder reminded mortals of the presence of a god who watched over them, fierce yet protective. Thor's responsibilities went beyond the battles with giants. He ensured that storms nourished the fields, that rivers ran clear, and that the balance of nature was maintained. With every swing of Mjolnir, he shaped the world, defending life and structure, while allowing the natural order to thrive beneath the pulse of his mighty strength. Yet Thor was not without playfulness. Among the gods, he laughed heartily, his booming voice echoing across Asgard's halls. He enjoyed feasts and stories, and his presence brought a warmth to the Golden Realm, a reminder that strength was not only power, but also joy, connection, and the quiet moments of peace between battles. Despite his formidable nature, Thor respected the wisdom of Odin and the counsel of other gods. He understood that raw strength alone could not govern the worlds, and that courage must be guided by knowledge, foresight, and compassion. In this balance, he became not just a warrior, but a guardian of harmony. Legends of Thor spread to Midgard, carried on the winds, whispered by rivers, and woven into the dreams of mortals. They spoke of a god who would rise to defend the innocent, whose hammer could both create and destroy, whose presence was as much about protection as it was about power. Every thunderstorm became a gentle reminder of his vigilance. Even as mortals lay in slumber, they felt the unseen hand of the thunder god, steady and unyielding. The storms were not meant to frighten, but to reassure that the forces of the universe were watched over
and guided by a mighty, compassionate hand.
Not all gods of the 9 realms were of the martial Aesir. In the quiet depths of nature and the hidden corners of the earth dwelt the Vanir, gods of fertility, wisdom, and foresight. They nurtured life, tended the forests, and whispered prophecies to those who listened, holding a gentle power that often rivaled the might of the Aesir. The peace between the 2 divine factions was delicate. Misunderstandings and pride grew like creeping vines. When an Aesir insulted a Vanir seeress, tensions erupted, and soon the serene balance of the realms shook. Words became threats, threats became battles, and a war began that would test the strength, patience, and wisdom of all gods. The Vanir, masters of magic and prophecy, struck swiftly, weaving illusions and manipulating the elements. Rivers rose unnaturally, winds howled with unspoken menace, and forests seemed to move against the invaders. The Aesir met them with thunder, lightning, and the unyielding hammer of Thor, a clash of raw might against subtle cunning. For years the war raged. The skies darkened with smoke and storm, and the earth trembled beneath the march of divine armies. Yet despite the violence, neither side could claim total victory. Each gained ground, only to see it reclaimed by the other. Slowly, the gods realized that endless fighting would only drain the worlds they were meant to protect. Seeking resolution, the leaders of both factions met in secret, away from the prying eyes of warriors and mortals alike. They understood that cooperation, not conquest, would ensure the survival of their realms. An exchange of hostages was agreed upon, a gesture of trust to seal a fragile peace. The Vanir sent Njord, the god of seas and winds, along with his children Frey and Freya, to live among the Aesir. In their presence, new bonds were formed, blending the martial and mystical, the physical and the spiritual. The exchange was more than a truce. It was a bridge between ways of being, a promise that unity could exist alongside difference. With the arrival of the Vanir, Asgard became a more complete realm. Njord calmed storms at sea. Frey brought warmth to the sun and rain to the fields. And Freya, radiant and wise, taught the secrets of magic, love, and valor. The presence of these gods reminded the Aesir that power alone was insufficient without harmony, insight, and care. The war became a lesson etched into the memories of the worlds. Mortals felt the echoes in whispers of wind, rustling leaves, and tides that obeyed Njord's will. They learned unknowingly that balance was not a force to be conquered, but a melody to be maintained, that life thrived most when the strong protected the gentle and the cunning respected the brave. Over time, scars of battle healed. The forests grew dense and green, rivers sparkled under the sun, and the fields of Midgard bore crops in abundance. The gods watched, content, knowing that even after the harshest conflict, life's rhythm continued, carrying whispers of lessons learned and promises kept. Frey and Freya, the radiant children of the Vanir, brought life and beauty to Asgard in ways that even the mightiest Aesir could not. Frey, the god of sun and rain, wandered the fields of Midgard, his presence coaxing the earth to bloom and the rivers to swell with abundance.
Wherever he walked, golden grains ripened and flowers unfurled, spreading quiet joy across the lands. Frey's companion, a glowing boar named Gullinbursti, carried him across meadows and forests. Its bristles sparkled like sunlit dew, leaving trails of light in its wake. Travelers in Midgard often glimpsed the golden glow from afar and whispered tales of a gentle god riding the morning wind, blessing the harvests and ensuring the balance of nature. Freya, sister of Frey, was a goddess of unparalleled beauty and power. Her chariot, pulled by two great cats with fur as black as night, glided silently over the hills, leaving a trail of soft, glowing embers that hinted at her presence without disturbing the calm of the world. Her magic was subtle yet profound. She could soothe hearts, heal wounds, and teach mortals the ways of love and courage. Yet she also held dominion over battle, claiming half of the fallen warriors for her hall, Folkvangar. Even in conflict, her presence reminded all beings that life, love, and wisdom were as essential as strength and valor. Freya's influence extended beyond Asgard. From Midgard to the hidden corners of the earth, she whispered guidance to those who sought courage, hope, or companionship. Her gentle magic moved in dreams, stirring quiet thoughts, kind intentions, and the soft pulse of inspiration in the hearts of men and women, shaping the world in invisible, nurturing ways. Frey, meanwhile, maintained the balance of the seasons. When the sun's warmth waned, he brought gentle rain and sunlight to nourish crops and forests. He ensured that animals thrived, rivers flowed, and humans could reap the bounty of the land. His presence reminded mortals that the gods, though powerful, cherished the life they had created, watching over it with quiet care. Together, the siblings created harmony between magic, life, and mortal existence. Their laughter could be heard in the wind through the trees, and their steps were marked by the subtle shimmer of divine light. Asgard grew brighter under their influence, its halls reflecting not only strength and valor, but also the quiet joy of growth and renewal. Frey and Freya also bridged the gap between Aesir and Vanir, showing both factions that cooperation and shared wisdom could enrich the cosmos. Their presence softened disputes, healed rifts, and reminded gods and mortals alike that life was a delicate dance sustained by both power and compassion. In Asgard, golden gardens flourished, birds sang from enchanted branches, and fountains sparkled with crystal-clear water, gifts of Frey and Freya. Even the most battle-worn god could find peace in their creations, walking among the blossoms and feeling the steady heartbeat of the worlds beneath their feet.
At the edge of Asgard, where the golden halls met the endless sky, stood Heimdall, the vigilant guardian of the gods. Born of 9 mothers, he was a being of extraordinary perception, able to hear the grass grow and see for hundreds of miles across both land and sea. No whisper of wind or rustle of leaf escaped his notice. Heimdall's duty was sacred, to protect the Bifrost, the shimmering rainbow bridge connecting Asgard to Midgard. The bridge pulsed with color and energy, a delicate conduit of fire and air, and through it passed gods, heroes, and mortals chosen for divine guidance. It was Heimdall's responsibility to ensure that no harm came to this vital link. Clad in white garments that gleamed like freshly fallen snow, Heimdall stood ever watchful.
His senses were so precise that he could detect the faintest movements, the tiniest shifts in the air. The approach of giants, the footsteps of mortals, or even the subtle tremor of mischief stirred the air, and Heimdall noticed it all, patient and unmoving. By his side rested the Jallarhorn, a horn of shining bronze, imbued with magic that could awaken gods and mortals alike. When sounded, its note traveled across the 9 realms, a clarion call for warriors and diviners, a warning of danger, and a reminder that the world was never truly alone, even in the darkest hours of night. Despite his eternal vigilance, Heimdall moved with quiet grace. He did not roar or strike unless needed, but his presence alone radiated authority. The Aesir trusted him implicitly, knowing that his watch would never waver, even while the realms slept under the soft glow of the moon or the warmth of the sun. Mortals, too, felt his subtle influence, though unknowingly. The gentle hush of the wind across a sleeping village, the calm ripples of a quiet river, and the soft sway of tree branches in the night were all touched by Heimdall's unseen guardianship. Dreams carried whispers of his watchful care, a lullaby for those resting under his protection. Even Loki, the ever-trickster, dared not approach the Bifrost without caution, for Heimdall's eyes and ears were everywhere. Though playful schemes often disturbed the halls of Asgard, the Guardian's presence reminded the gods that not all mischief could slip by unnoticed, and that some forces were eternal and unwavering. Heimdall's foresight extended beyond immediate threats. He knew the signs of the coming end, Ragnarok, and the role he would play in sounding the alarm. Yet even as the cosmos trembled with distant echoes of destruction, Heimdall maintained his calm vigilance, a steady heartbeat against the chaos, a guardian unshaken by the passage of ages. In moments of quiet, he would gaze across Midgard, watching mortals live their lives in blissful ignorance of the battles waged beyond their skies. Each sigh of wind, each rustle of leaves carried stories he had witnessed, a record of peace and strife alike, stored within the timeless calm of his mind.
One quiet morning in Asgard, a mysterious figure arrived at the Golden Gates. He was a master stonemason, carrying tools that glimmered in the sunlight, his presence calm but imposing. He claimed he could build an unbreakable wall around a city, one that would make Asgard impregnable. Yet he demanded a steep price: the sun, the moon, and the hand of Freyja in marriage. The gods were torn. The idea of such a magnificent defense was tempting, yet the cost seemed impossible. It was Loki, the ever-curious trickster, who suggested allowing the builder to attempt the task, believing that no mortal or giant could complete it in a single winter. The gods agreed, curiosity mingling with caution as the builder set to work. With the aid of a magical stallion named Svadilfari, the builder labored at an incredible pace. Stones flew into place, foundations rose like mountains, and the walls stretched higher than the clouds. The golden towers of Asgard gleamed below, tiny against the ambition of the mason's creation, yet perfect in their careful craftsmanship. The gods watched anxiously, their usual laughter and revelry replaced by whispers of worry. Each day the wall grew taller, and each day the possibility that the builder could finish on time became more real. Even Thor, mighty with Mjolnir, furrowed his brow,
sensing that the safety of Asgard hung in delicate balance. As the deadline approached, panic swept through the golden halls. Loki, ever resourceful, knew he had to intervene. Disguising himself as a beautiful mare, he lured Svadilfari into the woods. The stallion, enchanted and strong, abandoned the builder's side, galloping after the shimmering figure. Without the horse's power, the builder could not finish the wall before the winter's end. When the first light of spring touched the horizon, the builder revealed his true nature, a frost giant, fearsome and tall as the mountains themselves. He roared, shaking the air, and Thor's hammer fell upon him with a thunderous crash. The giant fled, leaving Asgard unharmed, and Loki returned, smirking, carrying a strange gift, the eight-legged horse, Sleipnir. Sleipnir, swift beyond imagination, became Odin's steed, a creature of grace and power, a reminder of both mischief and ingenuity. The hooves barely touched the ground, and when it ran, the air seemed to hum with energy. Even in quiet moments, its presence whispered of adventures unseen and the strange twists that shape destiny. The gods learned a lesson that winter. Brilliance and strength are invaluable, but cleverness and timing can alter the course of events. Even the mightiest powers must sometimes yield to wit, patience, and the unpredictable currents of fate that swirl quietly beneath the surface of all things. In the days that followed, Asgard celebrated not just its survival, but the harmony between strength and cunning. The builder's work, Loki's trickery, and the gods' vigilance combined into a tapestry of protection, a living story of balance and ingenuity. The golden halls sparkled in the sunlight, secure and vibrant, a realm nurtured by both action and clever foresight.
Loki, the ever-playful trickster of Asgard, often wove chaos into the lives of gods and mortals alike. His schemes were unpredictable, yet they frequently yielded remarkable outcomes. One such tale began after the foiled wall of Asgard, when the mischievous Loki hatched another plan that would change the fate of the gods forever. In the quiet woods, he transformed himself into a mare, soft and graceful, with a coat that shimmered like moonlight on water. This illusion was so convincing that Svadilfari, the enormous stallion who had nearly completed the wall, could not resist the chase. The giant's horse galloped after Loki, leaving the builder helpless and the wall unfinished. The giant, furious and exposed, retreated, and Loki returned to Asgard. But something extraordinary had happened in his absence. By the union of magic and chaos, the trickster gave birth to Sleipnir, an eight-legged horse with unmatched speed and grace. Each leg moved with effortless power, carrying him faster than wind, stronger than storms, and freer than the highest clouds. Odin, the All-Father, was the first to lay eyes on this miraculous creature. He marveled at Sleipnir's strength and elegance, sensing that the horse was more than a mere animal. It was a living bridge between mischief, magic, and destiny. Odin named Sleipnir his own, and the horse became a trusted companion, carrying him across realms with silent swiftness. Sleipnir's hooves barely touched the earth, yet wherever they landed, the land seemed to sigh with delight. Grass shimmered in the moonlight, rivers glistened in the dawn, and winds whispered softly, as if acknowledging the arrival of a creature born from both trickery and divine grace. Even the trees bent gently in its passage, and animals paused to watch in quiet reverence.
The gods quickly realized Sleipnir's importance. He could traverse realms with ease, moving between Asgard, Midgard, and even the lands of the dead. No distance was too great, no path too treacherous. Odin relied on Sleipnir for journeys of knowledge, for quests of wisdom, and for the quiet, unseen work of maintaining the balance of the 9 realms. Sleipnir's arrival also reminded the gods of the unexpected gifts that chaos could bring. Loki, ever unpredictable, had crafted both trouble and treasure, and Sleipnir embodied the strange beauty of that duality. The horse became a symbol of movement, adaptability, and the unseen threads that connect every story, every life, and every destiny in the cosmos. In the calm hours of the night, Sleipnir would roam the starlit skies with Odin, carrying him across the heavens like a silent lullaby. The stars seemed to bend toward the horse's path, twinkling softly, guiding the way through darkness, much like the gentle pull of a dream guiding a sleeper through the landscapes of imagination. Mortals, though unaware of Sleipnir's full story, felt the horse's presence in fleeting ways, a gust of wind that ruffled hair, a shadow that passed too quickly to follow, or a dream that carried a feeling of swiftness and freedom. These small echoes reminded humans of the invisible guardians watching over the world.
Even in Asgard, a place of golden halls and eternal light, mischief often led to the most remarkable creations. Loki, the ever-trickster, once caused great distress by cutting the golden hair of Thor's wife Sif, leaving the goddess humiliated and the halls of Asgard in quiet shock. Yet from this act of chaos came a sequence of events that would forever enrich the god's domain. To mend the mischief he had wrought, Loki sought the aid of the dwarves, master craftsmen of unrivaled skill. He tricked 2 rival families into a contest, urging them to create treasures so exquisite that even the gods themselves would marvel. Sparks flew from their forges, hammer met anvil, and the song of creation echoed softly, like a lullaby through the quiet nights of the 9 realms. The first creation was Sif's new hair, golden and glowing, made from strands finer than sunlight. It would grow naturally, as if woven from the morning rays themselves, restoring her beauty and dignity. When placed upon her head, it shimmered like the gentle sun rising over Midgard, bringing a quiet joy that eased the hearts of all who beheld it. Next came Gungnir, Odin's spear, flawless and unerring. It never missed its mark, piercing the air with silent precision. In battle or ritual, it became a symbol of balance and control, a steadying force amid chaos. The gods slept more peacefully knowing that Odin carried this enchanted weapon, for its presence alone deterred even the boldest adversaries. Then the dwarves crafted Skidbladnir, a ship that could fold small enough to fit into a pocket, yet sail across all seas effortlessly. It responded to the wishes of its rider, gliding silently across oceans or rivers, a vessel of freedom and quiet adventure. When the world slumbered beneath moonlit skies, Skidbladnir rested, dreaming of its next journey, ready to awaken at a whisper of command. Other wonders followed, bracelets that shimmered with unspoken magic, rings that held secret power, and gemstones that reflected the light of distant stars. Each creation, though born from competition and cunning, became a testament to craftsmanship, patience, and the subtle ways in which even mischief can yield beauty.
Loki, though responsible for the chaos, watched quietly as the treasures were distributed among the gods. His grin was hidden, but even he understood the irony. From mischief, harmony had been restored, and the gods' powers had grown stronger, more complete, and quietly balanced. The gifts were not just tools or adornments. They carried whispers of their creation, soft echoes of the forge's gentle warmth, and the steady rhythm of hammers meeting anvils. In the silence of night, these treasures seemed to hum with life, their magic intertwining with the calm of sleeping worlds, weaving unseen protection over Midgard and Asgard alike. As the gods rested, their treasures lying quietly in halls and armories, the soft glow of enchantment illuminated the rooms. The stars above reflected the gold and silver of their hoarded riches, casting a gentle light that made the heavens themselves seem to sigh in contentment, a lullaby for the 9 realms.
Among the treasures forged for the gods, none was more revered or more vital than Mjolnir, Thor's mighty hammer. Its creation was a testament to both skill and serendipity, born of the dwarves' genius and Loki's mischievous interference. Yet, as perfect as it seemed, even Mjolnir bore a subtle imperfection, a small flaw that shaped its destiny and Thor's path. The dwarves Brock and Eitri labored in their glowing forge, hammering and shaping metal hotter than the heart of the sun. Loki, in the form of a biting fly, darted about, stinging Brock as he worked, attempting to ruin the hammer. Despite the distraction, the dwarves persevered, their focus unwavering, until Mjolnir emerged from the fire, radiant and thunderous, but with a slightly shortened handle. Thor, upon receiving Mjolnir, marveled at its power. The hammer could shatter mountains, summon lightning, and defend Asgard against the mightiest of giants. Yet its handle required Thor to wear iron gauntlets to wield it properly. This small flaw, though frustrating, became a part of the hammer's identity, a gentle reminder that even perfection carries the marks of effort, challenge, and resilience. The gods celebrated the hammer, recognizing its role not only as a weapon, but as a symbol. Mjolnir represented strength tempered by patience, the balance between force and wisdom, and the ways in which even a slight imperfection could shape the fate of gods and men alike. Its rhythm echoed across Asgard, a heartbeat of order and protection. In battle, the flaw was barely noticeable, for Thor's determination and strength overcame any obstacle. Each strike of Mjolnir sent tremors across mountains and seas, yet beneath the chaos of combat, there was a quiet balance. The hammer's imperfect handle reminded Thor that power alone was not enough. Skill, courage, and persistence were equally vital in preserving peace. Even in quiet moments, Mjolnir carried a soft hum, a gentle echo of the forge where it was born. The warmth of the dwarves' fire lingered in its core, and the trace of Loki's trickery remained, a subtle vibration of mischief and ingenuity. In the stillness of night, it seemed to breathe, a living companion to the god of thunder as he rested under the starlit sky. Mortals far below Asgard felt the hammer's presence in gentle, unseen ways. When storms rolled across the land, when lightning arced across the heavens, or when the air seemed charged with silent power, it was Mjolnir's influence, a quiet lullaby of protection and strength that shielded humanity even in slumber. The flaw in Mjolnir also became a story told among the gods and whispered across time,
that even the greatest of gifts is shaped by imperfection, and that true mastery comes not from flawlessness, but from understanding and embracing what is unique. This quiet lesson drifted into dreams like a soft melody for those who slept under the watchful skies. As Thor carried Mjolnir across Asgard, across Midgard, and over the storm-tossed seas, the hammer's rhythm became a reassuring cadence. Each swing, each flight through the air was a reminder of protection, of balance, and of the enduring promise that even in chaos, order could prevail, softly and steadily.
In the golden halls of Asgard, the gods' youth and vitality were not eternal by nature. To remain strong, radiant, and immortal, they depended on the golden apples of Idun, a gift of life and renewal. These apples glimmered like morning sunlight and were tended with care, hidden in the quietest corners of the gardens, away from prying eyes. Idun herself, gentle and vigilant, was the keeper of these treasures. Her presence exuded warmth and calm, a soft contrast to the bustling energy of Asgard. With a touch, she could rejuvenate the gods, allowing their laughter, strength, and wisdom to endure for centuries. In her hands, the golden fruit became more than nourishment. It became a living thread of life and continuity. One day, Loki's restless curiosity and subtle cunning led to danger. He was captured by the giant Thiazi, and in his desperation to escape, he was forced to lure Idun and her apples out of Asgard. The quiet forests and sun-dappled meadows of Midgard became the stage for this quiet but tense drama, where the very essence of life for the gods hung in fragile balance. As Idun was taken, the gods began to wither. Their skin dulled, their hair lost its sheen, and their energy waned. Even mighty Thor and vigilant Heimdall felt the subtle pull of age creeping into their bones. Asgard, usually vibrant with golden light, grew muted and soft, like the quiet of early evening just before nightfall. The absence of Idun and her apples reminded the gods of the delicate nature of life, even for those who seemed eternal. Each day without the fruit passed with a slowing rhythm, the world itself seeming to hold its breath. The forests whispered, rivers murmured, and the wind carried soft warnings across the 9 realms. Loki, realizing the consequences of his actions, acted swiftly. Transforming into a falcon, he soared through forests, mountains, and rivers, racing towards Thiazi's hall. Each beat of his wings carried urgency, yet beneath it there was a quiet elegance, like the soft stirring of leaves in a gentle breeze, guiding the gods' hopes along invisible paths. Upon reaching Thiazi's hall, Loki snatched Idun and her precious apples. He darted through the sky, swift as a streak of sunlight, until he returned to the gardens of Asgard. The golden apples were placed once more in their rightful place, and the gods' vitality returned like a soft dawn spreading across the lands. Idun's return was celebrated quietly, without the loud fanfare of battle or conquest. Her presence itself was enough, a gentle assurance that life and youth, carefully tended and protected, could endure even in the face of mischief and chaos. Her golden apples shone brighter than ever, as if reflecting the calm relief of restored balance. From that day on, the tale of Idun became a quiet story of vigilance, care, and the gentle rhythm of renewal. Even as mortals slept beneath the stars,
The energy of the apples whispered across the realms, a soft lullaby carrying the promise of renewal, strength, and the quiet pulse of life that flows through all living things.
In the quiet halls of Asgard, a shadow loomed, a growing wolf named Fenrir, one of Loki's children with the giantess Angrboda. From the moment he was born, the gods sensed the danger that came with his immense strength and untamed nature. Even as a pup, Fenrir's eyes glimmered with a restless intelligence, hinting at the chaos he might unleash upon the 9 realms. The gods attempted to raise him peacefully, offering food and attention, but Fenrir grew quickly, and his size and power became alarming. Chains forged from ordinary metal were no match for his strength. Every attempt to restrain him failed, and with each snapping link, the gods' concern deepened. Asgard itself seemed to tense, the wind whispering warnings through the golden halls. To contain Fenrir, the gods turned to the dwarves, masters of craft and magic. They forged Gleipnir, a ribbon of impossible ingredients, the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, and other things that should not exist. It was thin and light, yet stronger than any chain ever made. The ribbon shimmered softly, as if holding its own quiet, latent power. Convincing Fenrir to be bound by this slender ribbon required courage and cunning. The gods, led by Tyr, approached him with a mixture of caution and respect. Fenrir, ever wary of deceit, sensed the trickery in the air. He agreed to be bound only if one of the gods would place their hand in his mouth as a pledge of trust, a bold act of faith. Tyr, the brave and honorable god, stepped forward. He placed his hand gently in Fenrir's mouth, a quiet gesture of trust and courage. The wolf allowed the gods to wrap Gleipnir around him, and as the ribbon tightened, Fenrir realized he could not break free. With a sudden bite, he severed Tyr's hand, marking the first great wound a god would suffer in this long tale of destiny and sacrifice. Fenrir's struggles shook the earth, yet the ribbon held firm, binding him to his fate. The wolf's eyes blazed with fury, but also with the knowledge that even he was caught in the intricate web of cosmic design. In his silent roars and thrashing, the world itself seemed to hold its breath, as if listening to the slow, steady rhythm of restraint and power. Despite his anger, Fenrir's presence became a constant reminder to the gods. The balance of the 9 realms was delicate, and the forces of chaos could never be ignored. Even in the calm moments, the wolf's eyes seemed to watch, a soft, simmering warning that the end times, or Ragnarok, would come, and he would play a key part in that unfolding story. As the days passed, Fenrir remained bound, a silent giant in the shadowed fields of Asgard. The gods continued their duties, tending to Midgard, the realms of men, and the other divine matters. Yet in the quiet of night, when stars shimmered over the worlds, the memory of Fenrir's power drifted like a soft wind. Beneath the waves that encircled Midgard, a giant serpent slumbered. Jormungandr, another of Loki's children, was cast into the ocean by Odin, destined to grow so vast that it eventually encircled the entire world, biting its own tail. In the quiet depths, it moved silently, a pulse beneath the earth and seas, felt by few, but shaping the rhythm of life itself.
The serpent's presence was a subtle pressure on the earth, a reminder that even the calmest days carried the weight of hidden forces. Ships sailing across the seas often felt the faint ripple of its movement, though they never knew the source. Jormungandr's enormous body created currents and tides, a quiet heartbeat beneath Midgard, as steady as the night stars above. Thor, the god of thunder, always knew of the serpent's existence. From his lofty halls in Asgard to the storm-tossed skies of Midgard, he felt the tension in the air, the quiet vibration beneath his feet. The two were destined to meet, and even in times of calm, Thor trained, readying himself for the day when fate would demand confrontation. Jormungandr, however, did not act out of malice. It rested in the ocean's dark, twisting trenches, a silent guardian and reminder of balance. Its occasional surfacing caused gentle storms or tidal shifts, soft ripples that washed over the lands, carrying with them a quiet music of warning and rhythm that only those attuned to the world could feel. The serpent's sheer size and power inspired awe and fear among both gods and mortals. Yet, even as it slept, there was a serene quality to its existence. The slow, deliberate movements of its coils through the deep created waves that kissed the shores, a lullaby for the creatures of the sea, and a gentle nudge to humans to respect the mysteries beneath the waters. When Thor and Jormungandr finally met in the future, their encounter would be a clash of titans, a storm that shook mountains and split oceans. But for now, the serpent remained a quiet presence, a cosmic tension that threaded through dreams and whispered to the world's subconscious, reminding all that every life, every being, and every force has its place. Even the stars above Midgard seemed to reflect the serpent's calm presence. Night after night, their shimmer traced the rhythm of Jormungandr's slumber, a gentle reminder to mortals and gods alike that the world was alive in ways both visible and hidden. The universe breathed along with the serpent, soft and steady. The gods respected this hidden guardian, knowing that its power was intertwined with the fate of all realms. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and Jormungandr's immense coils were part of the same cosmic song, a melody of balance, patience, and inevitable destiny. Even in the hush of night, this song vibrated through the oceans, mountains, and sky. Mortals, unaware of the serpent's vastness, often dreamed of enormous sea creatures, of gentle tides and shifting waves, of something enormous and hidden beneath the calm waters. These dreams were soft, ethereal, carrying the essence of Jormungandr as a lullaby, a quiet reminder that the world sleeps with hidden guardians.
Far below the golden halls of Asgard, in the cold, silent reaches of Niflheim, lies Hel's domain, a realm of mist, shadow, and quiet stillness. Here, the daughter of Loki, Hel, rules over those who pass from life not in battle, but through sickness, age, or quiet misfortune. Her presence is not malevolent, but calm, impartial, and eternal, a gentle keeper of endings. The landscape of Hel is hushed, draped in endless twilight. Rivers of cold, slow-moving water wind through shadowed valleys, their surfaces reflecting pale, dim light. Mountains rise and fall like frozen echoes,
and forests of dark, leafless trees stretch endlessly. It is a place of reflection, where time moves differently, measured by the sigh of the wind and the soft footsteps of wandering souls. Hel herself is striking and serene, half living and half corpse, a being who embodies the balance of life and death. Her eyes hold the wisdom of ages, understanding the inevitability of endings. She walks among her subjects quietly, attending to them with gentle guidance, ensuring that each soul finds its place in her realm without fear or suffering. Despite her isolation, Hel's domain is not empty. Ghostly forms wander through the mists, moving slowly and softly, their presence blending with the gentle hum of the land. They do not scream or cry. Instead, they drift like whispers through the realm, echoing the subtle rhythm of existence and the quiet inevitability of passing time. The walls of Hel's palace, built from ice and shadow, shimmer faintly with a soft, cold light. In this stillness, Hel contemplates the cycles of life and death, observing the living above and the dead below. She carries an awareness that extends far beyond her realm, a delicate thread connecting her to the living, to the gods, and to the patterns of fate woven into Yggdrasil itself. Mortals fear her name, yet those who sleep dream of her realm as a quiet sanctuary. In slumber, they sense the hush of Hel's mists, the gentle guidance of her hand, and the calm inevitability of endings. Her domain becomes a soft, hidden lullaby, reminding the living that rest, reflection, and the eventual end are natural, comforting parts of life's rhythm. Even the gods respect Hel's authority, visiting her realm only when duty demands. Odin, in his endless pursuit of wisdom, sometimes walks the edge of Niflheim, conversing in quiet tones with the somber queen. He understands that the balance of life and death is crucial, that endings are not to be feared, but observed, honored, and accepted. Hel's presence also serves as a counterbalance to the chaos of the world above. Where giants and monsters roam and battles rage, Hel's realm is untouched, a quiet anchor for souls. The slow drip of water, the soft sigh of wind through shadowed trees, and the hush of eternal twilight carry a peaceful rhythm, a lullaby for all who venture near in dreams or meditation. Even the gods respect Hel in the rare moments of calm. He knows her realm cannot be conquered or tricked, only acknowledged.
High above the 9 realms, atop the branches of Yggdrasil, Odin sought knowledge beyond the reach of mortal or godly eyes. He hung himself from the world tree, pierced by his own spear, sacrificing comfort, flesh, and safety in pursuit of wisdom. For 9 long days and nights, he swung gently in the cold wind, suspended between earth and sky, a quiet sentinel of patience and determination. Below, the realms remained unaware of the slow, deliberate ordeal. Midgard's rivers glimmered in the sun, forests whispered softly, and oceans lapped quietly against distant shores. The world itself seemed to pause, respecting the stillness of Odin's sacrifice, carrying its gentle rhythm like a lullaby to the sleeping lands. Odin's hunger and thirst were absolute, his body weakened to the edge of mortality. Yet his mind drifted inward,
exploring the hidden currents of magic, fate, and the silent threads that connect all living things. He felt the hum of the roots of Yggdrasil, the whispers of the Norns, and the quiet pulse of the 9 realms, as though the universe itself was breathing through him. Each heartbeat, slow and deliberate, carried visions of past and future. Odin glimpsed battles yet to come, heroes yet to rise, and the subtle patterns of cause and consequence that shaped existence. The stars above seemed to lean closer, their light soft and patient, illuminating the world in a gentle glow while guiding his understanding of the cosmic order. On the 9th night, the runes, the magical symbols of power, wisdom, and creation, revealed themselves to Odin. They shimmered with a quiet light, folding around him like ribbons of moonlight. Odin reached out, seizing the ancient symbols, feeling their energy pulse through his veins, as if the knowledge of the cosmos itself was settling into his bones. With the runes in hand, Odin fell from Yggdrasil, landing softly on the mossy roots below. His body was weak but alive. His mind was sharp, filled with insight that could heal, command, and bind the very elements of the universe. He had endured the silent suffering, embraced patience, and returned as a god transformed, a guardian of wisdom and protector of the realms. Mortals would only know whispers of Odin's ordeal in their dreams. Sometimes, in the quiet of night, they imagined a figure hanging from a great tree, suspended in stillness, learning the secrets of existence. These visions were soft, almost like lullabies, reminding them that knowledge often comes through patience and reflection, not haste. The gods, witnessing Odin's return, felt the gentle shift of power and awareness. Even the restless Loki and the mighty Thor noticed the calm radiating from Odin's presence, a subtle, quiet energy that carried the weight of understanding and the soft pulse of universal truth. Asgard itself seemed to breathe with him, a lull in the otherwise bustling halls of the gods. Odin's ordeal became a story told in quiet tones, a lesson of resilience, patience, and reflection. It whispered across Midgard and the 9 realms, touching the hearts of gods, giants, and mortals alike. In the hush of night, it settled like a soft wind, weaving itself into dreams and quiet moments of contemplation.
Long ago, the gods and Vanir created a being of perfect wisdom named Kvasir. He traveled the realms, spreading knowledge and insight wherever he went, a quiet teacher of harmony and understanding. Yet envy and greed brought his life to a sudden end, as dwarves, intrigued by his brilliance, murdered him, capturing the essence of his wisdom. From Kvasir's blood, the dwarves brewed a magical elixir, the mead of poetry. It shimmered with golden light and contained the power to inspire song, scholarship, and eloquence in all who drank it. A single sip could awaken the mind, turning whispers of thought into the flowing music of words. The mead was rare, precious, and filled with the quiet resonance of universal knowledge. Odin, ever the seeker of wisdom, heard of this wondrous brew. He disguised himself as a traveler, wandering through mountains and valleys, listening to the wind and learning from the hidden corners of the world. He sought the mead not for glory, but to gift its gentle power to the gods and, through subtle drops, to humanity as well.
In the mountain stronghold of the dwarves, Odin found the mead of poetry, guarded fiercely. The air was heavy with the scent of honey and the quiet hum of magical energy. He observed, patient and still, understanding that brute force would not serve here. Subtlety, cunning, and patience were his companions. Through careful persuasion, Odin gained access to the mead, drinking deeply of its wisdom. The warmth of the golden liquid spread through him, flowing into his veins like sunlight across the 9 realms. He felt his mind expand, perceiving the hidden patterns of life, the rhythms of the stars, and the subtle threads that tie words, thought, and destiny together. Transformed, Odin became a conduit of inspiration. He transformed into an eagle, wings beating softly against the high winds of the mountains, carrying the mead with him. As he soared over forests, rivers, and mountains, his journey became a quiet, flowing lullaby, a gentle whisper of knowledge that would find its way to the hearts of gods and mortals alike. Landing in Asgard, he shared the mead with the gods, who drank and felt their own minds expand, creativity and insight awakening like the first rays of dawn. Yet a few drops fell to Midgard, seeping into the dreams of mortals. Poets, storytellers, and scholars found themselves stirred by invisible threads, guided by soft inspiration that seemed to rise like mist from the earth. The mead's presence became a gentle rhythm in the universe, a quiet heartbeat connecting all realms. Every song hummed with its essence, every story carried a trace of its magic, and every dream brushed against the golden warmth of creativity and wisdom. It was a soft lullaby to the mind, encouraging reflection and calm thought. Even in the hush of night, when the stars shimmered quietly above, the mead of poetry flowed gently through the dreams of mortals. Its influence was subtle, felt in the cadence of a storyteller's voice, the gentle rise and fall of a lullaby, or the quiet hum of understanding that comes before sleep.
One quiet morning, Thor and Loki set out from the golden halls of Asgard on a journey to the land of giants, Utgard. The sky was calm, the wind soft, and the distant mountains shimmered like misty dreams. Thor carried Mjolnir, his hammer, but he knew that brute strength alone would not serve him in this realm. Patience, wit, and careful observation would be needed. The giant's fortress loomed silently, shrouded in clouds that curled like smoke. Utgard Loki, their king, welcomed the gods with an enigmatic smile, a calm energy that hinted at the mysteries within. Though the halls seemed quiet, the air thrummed with invisible power, the kind that moves mountains and sways the ocean, felt more in the heart than seen with the eyes. The giants challenged Thor and Loki to a series of contests, each more unusual than the last. First, Thor was asked to drink from a horn. He tilted it and tilted it again, yet the liquid seemed endless, flowing like a river into the unseen depths. Only later would he learn that the horn was connected to the sea itself, a subtle cosmic trick that tested patience as much as strength. Next, Thor was tasked with lifting a massive cat, its back arched and muscles rippling beneath a sleek coat. He strained, grunting with effort, yet the cat barely moved.
Only afterward did he understand that the feline was no ordinary creature. It was the Midgard serpent, curled and vast, stretching beyond comprehension, a living reminder of the slow, patient rhythms of the world. Finally, Thor was challenged to wrestle an old woman whose movements were slow yet unyielding. He pushed and strained, yet her grip was gentle, impossible to overcome. The truth was revealed later. She was old age itself, patient, relentless, and beyond any god's power. Thor learned that even the mightiest cannot conquer the inevitable, only move with it, respect it, and endure it. Throughout the contests, Loki observed quietly, weaving subtle threads of mischief, yet even he could feel the gentle pulse of lessons hidden in each trial. The giants were teachers in disguise, reminding the gods that strength alone could not solve every problem, and that sometimes the quiet, unseen forces hold the greatest power. Though Thor did not win in a conventional sense, he left Utgard wiser. He understood that the universe has patterns beyond immediate perception, a slow, steady rhythm that guides both gods and mortals. This insight, soft yet enduring, became a lullaby for reflection, reminding even the mightiest that patience and observation are as important as strength. The journey home was calm, the wind gentle, carrying the echoes of the giants' lessons across the 9 realms. Thor's hammer rested quietly at his side, not a weapon of immediate force, but a companion in understanding the balance of all things. Each step back towards Asgard was a measured one, infused with the quiet rhythm of reflection and calm insight. When the gods of Asgard gathered to hear Thor's account, the story was told not in anger or boasting, but in quiet appreciation of the wisdom he had gained.
In a time when the seas stretched vast and endless, Thor sought to face one of his oldest and greatest rivals, the Midgard serpent. The sky above was painted with soft hues of dawn, and the waters lapped quietly against the shores, a gentle rhythm that belied the stormy battles yet to come. Thor, Mjolnir at his side, prepared for a challenge that was as much about patience as strength. He traveled with Loki, the trickster, whose presence was like a flickering shadow beside the steady light of the thunder god. Together, they rode into the deep waters, the quiet splash of oars blending with the soft sigh of wind and waves. The world seemed hushed, as though it too was holding its breath in anticipation of the coming test. Their destination was the domain of Hymir, the giant who owned the largest cauldron in all the realms. Hymir's hall sat atop jagged cliffs, waves crashing below, and inside, the giant moved with calm purpose, preparing for the day's fishing expedition. The morning air was crisp, filled with the scent of salt and the soft, steady pulse of the sea, carrying a quiet promise of adventure. Thor chose a massive oxen's head as bait, its weight immense, its presence silent yet commanding. He lowered it into the depths of the ocean, the line disappearing into darkness, still and patient. Loki watched, ever alert, aware that patience, cunning, and strength would all be tested in this quiet struggle between god and serpent. Slowly the line tugged. The water rippled with quiet intensity, moving in subtle, invisible patterns.
Thor felt the pulse of the world in the pull of the line, the heartbeat of the sea mingling with his own. The Midgard serpent stirred below, its vast body coiling silently, an endless shadow beneath the shimmering waves. Thor pulled with steady hands, muscles straining, yet not in haste. Each movement was measured, in rhythm with the gentle rocking of the boat and the soft whisper of the wind. The struggle lasted long, a quiet dance of patience and strength, a test of endurance and understanding, as if the world itself were teaching him to move in harmony with its hidden rhythms. As the serpent broke the surface, the sea shuddered like a soft, low drum, sending ripples across distant shores. Thor raised Mjolnir, preparing to strike, yet Hymir, fearing the scale of destruction, cut the line. The serpent sank back into the depths, its quiet menace lingering, a reminder that even the greatest foes are bound by the rhythms of the universe and the unseen forces of fate. Though he did not capture the serpent, he gained insight. He understood the subtle balance between action and patience, between force and timing. Even the Midgard serpent, a creature of immense power, moved according to the quiet laws of nature, reminding all who watched that the universe flows in patterns often invisible, yet deeply present. One morning in Asgard, the golden halls shimmered in soft sunlight, but a disturbance rippled through the quiet. Thor awoke to find his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, gone. The halls seemed unusually silent, the usual hum of activity subdued, as if the world itself paused in anticipation. Loki, ever watchful, whispered of mischief and giants, setting the stage for an adventure that would test more than just Thor's strength. The thief was revealed to be Thrym, a giant whose cunning rivaled the gods themselves. Thrym had stolen Mjolnir and demanded a high price for its return. Freya, goddess of love and magic, must become his bride. The quiet tension of the hall deepened as the gods considered the impossible dilemma. Strength alone could not reclaim the hammer. Ingenuity, patience, and subtlety would be required. Loki, with his sly smile and shifting forms, offered a plan. Thor would disguise himself as the bride, donning a veil and gown, while Loki would act as his handmaiden. The idea was absurd, yet perfectly suited for the soft, careful execution the gods now needed. Even the walls of Asgard seemed to hush, waiting for the unfolding of this quiet, clever ruse. As they traveled to Thrym's hall, the landscape glided by in gentle motion. Mist curled over the mountains, rivers shimmered like liquid silver, and the quiet song of distant birds accompanied their journey. Thor, draped in silk and hidden behind a delicate veil, felt the contrast of power and disguise, learning that sometimes even the mightiest must move with grace and subtlety. At the wedding feast, the giant's hall glowed with torchlight, a warm golden hue that softened the edges of the looming danger. Thor's massive appetite nearly gave him away, yet Loki's quick words and clever misdirection kept the giant's attention elsewhere. Every gesture, every glance became part of the slow, intricate rhythm of subterfuge, like a dance. When Thrym presented Mjolnir to hallow the marriage, Thor reached with strength tempered by timing. With one fluid motion, he seized the hammer, revealing his true form. The quiet anticipation shattered into controlled, thunderous energy, a soft reminder that power, when combined with cleverness, could move mountains and turn the tide of any challenge. The giants of Thrym's Hall were overwhelmed not just by brute force alone, but by the harmony of cunning and strength. Thor's hammer flew through the air with precision, a gentle yet unstoppable force, returning balance to Asgard and reclaiming what was rightfully his. Loki, ever the observer, let a quiet laugh ripple through the golden halls, the tension dissolving like mist at sunrise. On the journey back to Asgard, Thor reflected on the lessons learned. Even a god of thunder must sometimes adapt, move quietly, and think beyond immediate strength. The rhythmic sway of the chariot, the gentle pull of the reins, and the soft murmur of the wind carried a lullaby of understanding, weaving patience, strategy, and insight into the quiet spaces of thought. The halls of Asgard welcomed Thor and Mjolnir with calm relief, the golden light embracing him like a soft, warm blanket. The story of the theft became a tale told quietly among the gods, a gentle reminder that even in chaos, subtlety, wit, and patience guide the strongest to success.
Baldur, the son of Odin and Frigg, was the brightest light in Asgard, a being whose presence made even the golden halls shimmer more warmly. He embodied purity, joy, and tranquility, moving with the calm rhythm of dawn breaking over the mountains. The other gods admired him quietly, not out of envy, but from the soft, natural awe one feels when witnessing a gentle, radiant spirit. The god of light and joy seemed untouchable, yet even he was not free from the subtle currents of fate. Lately, he had begun to dream of shadows, a delicate unease weaving through his dreams. Each night, visions of danger and darkness brushed at the edges of his mind, whispering of a fragility hidden beneath his brilliance. Frigg, his mother, noticed the shadows and sought to protect her beloved son. She traveled across the 9 realms, speaking to every stone, tree, and flame, securing oaths from them that they would never harm Baldur. The quiet whispers of her journey carried through the forests and mountains, a gentle lullaby of protection and care. Yet one small and seemingly harmless plant eluded her, the mistletoe, soft and young, a tender green that seemed inconsequential against the vastness of the world. She overlooked it, unaware that even the gentlest forces can carry immense consequences. The plant's innocence was a silent reminder that fate often moves through the quietest and smallest threads. The gods, enchanted by Baldur's radiance, made a game of his invulnerability. They would toss weapons, stones, and spears, each one harmlessly bouncing off him. Laughter filled the halls in gentle ripples, echoing like soft bells across the golden ceilings, a calm yet constant celebration of life, love, and light. Loki, ever watchful and envious, noticed the delicate thread left unguarded. He shaped the tiny mistletoe into a dart and whispered into the hand of Hod, Baldur's blind brother, guiding him unknowingly to the fatal act. The hall, so full of quiet warmth moments before, was about to feel the first whisper of shadow. When Hod threw the dart, it pierced Baldur's heart, and the light seemed to flicker and fade. The golden halls fell silent, a hush descending like evening over the mountains. Even the winds outside stilled,
and the soft rustle of leaves paused, as if the world itself mourned the gentle god whose radiance had always touched the realms with calm. Attempts to ransom Balder from hell failed, the quiet desperation of the gods echoing through the misty valleys of the underworld. Loki, in disguise, refused to weep, and the warmth of Asgard dimmed, replaced by the soft, reflective sadness of loss. Even the heavens seemed to bend quietly, honoring the moment with stillness and gentle reflection. The story of Balder's passing became a soft, enduring tale of love, light, and the fragile threads of fate. It reminded all who heard it that even the brightest lights are delicate, and that the quiet rhythms of life can shift in subtle, unexpected ways, carrying lessons like whispers in the wind.
The quiet of Asgard was broken not by thunder or fire, but by the soft whisper of fate weaving through the halls. Balder, beloved and radiant, had fallen. The halls, usually filled with the gentle hum of life and laughter, now echoed with a hushed sorrow. The gods gathered, their movements slow and careful, each step a reflection of their quiet mourning. Loki, ever cunning, revealed the hidden hand behind this tragedy. The dart, made from the tiny mistletoe plant, had pierced the heart of the god of light. Its delicate green leaves, innocent in appearance, had carried the power to undo the brightest of existences. The contrast between the plant's gentle appearance and its deadly potential became a soft reminder of the fragile threads that bind all things. Hod, blinded and unwitting, stood in quiet shock, his hands trembling. He had acted under Loki's guidance, a subtle whisper that led to an irreversible act. The soft hum of the wind outside seemed to echo the gentle sorrow within, wrapping the halls in a calm, reflective silence. Even the smallest sound, the rustling of leaves, the drip of a distant stream, felt like a lullaby of contemplation for what had passed. The gods tried to intercede, to negotiate with Hel, queen of the underworld, for Balder's return. Yet even the soft pleas of Odin and Frigg, filled with quiet hope and measured sorrow, were met with the cold, calm refusal of Hel. The silence of the underworld mirrored the quiet devastation in Asgard, a parallel rhythm of loss that moved gently but persistently through the realms. Frigg, mother of Balder, wept quietly, her tears falling like gentle rain upon the golden floors. Yet within her sorrow was a steady, soft pulse of resilience, a whisper that life, even in its fragility, carries lessons and rhythms that endure beyond immediate grief. The halls seemed to inhale her sorrow, exhaling a calm stillness that softened the edges of tragedy. The gentle pulse of reflection spread through Asgard. Even gods accustomed to power and immortality felt the delicate balance of fate. The story of the mistletoe dart became a soft, enduring meditation on the interplay of innocence and consequence, a quiet acknowledgement that even the smallest forces can shift the course of entire worlds. Loki, though bound by mischief, became a silent reminder of the delicate threads that connect actions to outcomes. His sly, quiet influence had set events in motion, a subtle lesson in patience, awareness, and the unseen consequences of our choices. The air in Asgard seemed to vibrate gently
with this invisible rhythm, like the faintest heartbeat in a vast sleeping world. Though the halls were quiet, life continued softly and patiently. The gods carried on, each movement measured, each word spoken with a gentle care. The memory of Balder lingered, a soft glow that illuminated the shadows of Asgard, teaching that even in absence, beauty and guidance endure quietly, like stars in the night sky. As the night fell across the 9 realms, the story of the mistletoe dart became a lullaby for the realms below.
The calm of Asgard was shadowed by a lingering tension. Loki, the trickster, whose cleverness often brought both marvel and mischief, had crossed the line one final time. His role in Balder's death had fractured the quiet rhythm of the golden halls, leaving a soft, somber echo that drifted through the realm like twilight mist. The gods, once patient with his antics, now moved with quiet determination. They captured Loki, careful not to unleash further chaos during his restraint. The soft, methodical steps of the gods as they bound him seemed almost ceremonial, a gentle but firm assertion of justice in a world that had felt the weight of his mischief. They bound him with the entrails of his own sons, weaving a slow, deliberate punishment that mirrored the intricate patterns of fate itself. Loki's struggles, powerful yet contained, sent subtle tremors through the earth. Even the mountains seemed to shiver softly in response, a quiet acknowledgement of the gods' enduring energy, now harnessed and restrained. Above his head, the venomous serpent was placed, dripping slowly, deliberately, a rhythmical, almost hypnotic trickle that carried both warning and inevitability. Each drop of venom fell with soft precision, a gentle reminder of consequences, patience, and the delicate balance between freedom and restraint. Sigyn, Loki's devoted wife, remained at his side. With a bowl, she caught the poison, her movements slow, precise, and unwavering. The quiet care in her actions contrasted the harshness of the punishment, turning the moment into a soft meditation on loyalty, love, and the enduring quiet strength of patience, even in the face of great pain. Whenever Sigyn had to empty the bowl, the venom would fall upon Loki's face, and the earth would tremble softly with his writhing. Even in suffering, the rhythm of the world continued, steady and unbroken, like a gentle pulse of a river flowing quietly through mountains, persistent, inevitable, yet serene in its course. The story of Loki's punishment traveled across the realms, whispered like a soft warning. It reminded both gods and mortals that actions ripple through the fabric of existence, and even the most clever, nimble, or cunning cannot escape the quiet balance of consequence. The tale itself became a slow, reflective lullaby of cause and effect. Time passed gently, marked by the slow movement of the sun and the quiet turning of seasons. Loki remained bound, a silent, potent force, while the worlds above carried on in soft, measured harmony. The gods returned to their routines, their steps echoing lightly in the golden halls, a soft rhythm restoring balance after the discord of mischief and loss. Even the whispering winds seemed to carry the story of Loki's restraint, a soft, almost imperceptible murmur across forests, mountains, and rivers.
A hush settled across the 9 realms as the first whispers of Fimbulwinter arrived.
3 winters came without the gentle warmth of a summer between, the air thick with frost and quiet tension. Snow fell silently, blanketing the lands of Midgard in soft, muffled white, and even the wind moved slower, as if the world itself had drawn a deep, careful breath. The sun and moon, long chased by the wolves Skoll and Hati, disappeared behind a veil of shadow. The dim light that filtered through the clouds created a calm, muted glow over forests and mountains, turning familiar landscapes into dreamlike, silent visions. Every tree, every rock seemed to hibernate under the soft, pressing weight of snow and cold. Humanity shivered under the unyielding frost. People huddled in small homes, their movements slow and deliberate, conserving warmth and energy. The quiet struggle of survival unfolded like a slow, gentle rhythm, each breath and step a soft meditation on resilience and endurance in the face of the biting cold. Among the gods, unease settled quietly like a layer of frost. Even the mighty Aesir felt the subtle pulse of impending change. Odin, Thor, and the others walked through the halls of Asgard in reflective silence, each step measured, each thought tempered by the knowledge that this season was unlike any other. The moral fabric of humankind began to fray under the relentless winter. Brothers quarreled, families argued, and communities whispered in tense, hushed tones. Yet even in this quiet turmoil, there was a rhythmic, almost hypnotic quality to survival, the soft, enduring cadence of life persisting against the unyielding cold. Through the frost and shadow, Yggdrasil, the great world tree, groaned under the weight of the coming collapse. Its branches swayed gently, like the soft rocking of a cradle, reminding the realms that even the strongest can bend, and even in hardship there is rhythm and order beneath apparent chaos. The frost giants and other dark forces stirred beneath the frozen lands, their movements slow and careful, barely disturbing the quiet world above. Their advance was like a soft, distant drumbeat, a gentle but ominous reminder of the delicate balance between light and darkness, warmth and cold, life and the encroaching silence. In the hearts of mortals and gods alike, a hushed tension persisted, a quiet anticipation of events yet to come. The hush of the long winter created a reflective, almost meditative space where each creature, human, giant, or god, could feel the subtle, persistent rhythm of time, carrying them slowly toward destiny. As the nights lengthened and the snow thickened, Fimbulwinter became more than a season. It became a lullaby of endurance, a quiet meditation on patience, resilience, and the soft, persistent flow of life in the face of overwhelming odds. The realms seemed suspended, like a breath held in gentle stillness, awaiting the inevitable dawn of reckoning.
The frozen stillness of Fimbulwinter was broken by a distant, slow rumble. From the shadowed lands of Hel, the ship Naglfar began to move. Its timbers were made from the fingernails and toenails of the dead, a quiet, eerie reminder that even the smallest, unnoticed things could carry immense weight. The ship slid across the icy seas with a soft, creaking rhythm, like the gentle ticking of a clock counting down to destiny. Hrym, the frost giant, guided the vessel with quiet determination. The armies of the dead marched aboard, their silent footsteps blending with the lapping of icy waves.
Even in their numbers, there was a calm, almost meditative order to their movement, as if the world itself had slowed to observe the careful rhythm of the approaching storm. Surt, the fire giant of Muspelheim, rose from the southern flames with a sword brighter than the sun. His advance was quiet yet persistent, the soft crackle of molten fire meeting the frost, a gentle, eerie symphony. Though the forces of fire and ice were in stark contrast, their movement across the 9 realms was like a slow, inevitable dance toward the moment of reckoning. The Midgard serpent stirred beneath the oceans, its vast body pressing against the world like a gentle but inexorable tide. The rhythm of the waves and the serpent's subtle movements created a soft, continuous pulse, echoing through the hearts of mortals and gods alike, preparing all for the climax of the silent, unfolding drama. Loki, freed from his bonds, moved through the shadows with a quiet, purposeful energy. Every step he took was measured, a reminder that even the trickster's chaos could have a subtle, almost hypnotic rhythm. His presence reminded the realms that destiny was not merely a force of inevitability, but a quiet weaving of actions, choices, and hidden currents. As the armies of the dead, the giants, and the serpent advanced, the gods gathered quietly in Asgard. Odin, Thor, and Heimdall readied themselves with deliberate calm, each breath and motion measured. The soft tension in the halls was like the slow inhalation before a deep, long sigh, the world holding itself steady before the storm. The Bifrost shimmered faintly under the approaching chaos, its rainbow light bending gently in the cold, still air. Heimdall, ever watchful, felt the rhythm of the world shift beneath his feet, a slow, almost hypnotic vibration that mirrored the steady march of Naglfar across the icy seas. Even the stars seemed to pause, observing the quiet procession of fate. Mortals felt a subtle change in the air, though they did not understand its source. The soft hush of snow and frost was interrupted by an almost imperceptible pulse, the silent drumbeat of destiny approaching, reminding all who listened that even in sleep and dreams, the rhythms of the cosmos were never still. The worlds braced themselves as Naglfar and its dark cargo approached the shores of Midgard. Yet in the quiet tension, there was also a soft beauty, the ebb and flow of life and death, the interplay of ice and fire, the measured steps of giants and gods. The quiet tension of the 9 realms reached its peak as the final battle began. The fields of Vigrid stretched endlessly, covered in a soft haze that muted the roar of war. The gods and giants faced each other with calm determination, each step and breath measured, like the slow, rhythmic pulse of a heart preparing for the ultimate release. Heimdall sounded the Jallarhorn one last time. Its gentle, reverberating note carried across all 9 realms, a slow, lingering vibration that awakened even the quietest corners of existence. The sound was both a warning and a lullaby, drawing every being into the rhythm of destiny and signaling that the moment of cosmic balance had arrived. Odin rode forward to confront Fenrir, the monstrous wolf that had grown beyond measure. The clash was not chaotic, but deliberate, each movement echoing like soft thunder across the plain. Odin fell, swallowed by the jaws of the beast, yet his legacy remained,
in the steady, purposeful steps of those who would follow, a calm pulse in the heart of the storm. Thor met the Midgard serpent with measured fury. Their battle shook the earth, yet beneath the surface there was a rhythm, a slow and inevitable dance between life and death. Thor struck, the serpent writhed, and in the final moment both fell. Even in destruction, the cycle of existence continued, a soft, unbroken flow carrying the universe onward. Loki and Heimdall, destined rivals, met in quiet inevitability. Their struggle was intense, yet restrained, each movement deliberate, like the soft unfolding of a story written in the subtle, hidden language of fate. Their battle, though destructive, carried a strange, hypnotic beauty, a rhythm that intertwined chaos and order with gentle inevitability. Surt, the fire giant, flung flames across the 9 realms. Mountains melted into rivers of fire. Oceans steamed and hissed, and the sky glowed softly with the light of transformation. Even as destruction swept through the realms, the rhythm of change was steady and unhurried, like the slow drift of clouds across a twilight sky, shaping and reshaping the world. The oceans rose to meet the flames, swallowing the old world with quiet inevitability. The elements merged in a soft, natural cadence, fire, water, earth, and air intertwining in a gentle final symphony. Though the old world ended, the rhythm of existence persisted, a subtle heartbeat beneath the chaos that promised renewal. In the quiet aftermath, the 9 realms were suspended in reflection. The echoes of Ragnarok rippled softly through every tree, river, and stone. The story of endings and beginnings became a gentle lullaby for all who listened, a reminder that even in destruction there is a slow, comforting rhythm guiding the world toward renewal.
The silence after Ragnarok was deep and gentle. Where fire and ice had met, a new calm settled across the lands. The oceans, once roiling with destruction, softened into quiet waves, lapping at the shores of a world ready to breathe again. Even the wind moved with a slow, soothing rhythm, as if the universe itself exhaled after its long, turbulent journey. Amid the ruins, tiny sprouts of green began to push through ash and soil. Life, persistent and patient, found its way into the cracks of the old world. Trees stretched their delicate limbs toward the soft light of a new sun, their leaves whispering in a quiet symphony that told the story of renewal and hope. 2 humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, emerged from the trunk of Yggdrasil, their movements cautious but steady. They carried with them the memories of the old world and the promise of the new. Every breath they drew, every step they took, was part of a gentle, deliberate rhythm that echoed through the quiet lands like the soft pulse of dawn. The surviving gods walked among them, their presence serene and measured. Thor's sons and Odin's sons explored the new green earth, their steps leaving faint impressions in soft moss and grass. Their hearts beat in time with the subtle rhythm of nature, a reminder that even the immortal must walk gently in a world reborn. The golden chess pieces of the ancestors lay scattered in the grass, tiny reminders of the past. The young gods handled them carefully, arranging and observing, learning the delicate balance of power, wisdom, and patience that had guided the old world. Even in play there was purpose, and even in quiet reflection, the pulse of destiny flowed gently onward.
The new sun rose slowly, its light warm but soft, casting long shadows over the glimmering earth. Birds, unafraid of the silence that once threatened life, sang their first songs. Streams trickled with a gentle, rhythmic cadence, carrying whispers of old tales and new beginnings to all corners of the realms. The survivors of humanity began to rebuild, their work slow, deliberate, and mindful. They cultivated the land with care, planting seeds that would grow in harmony with the pulse of the earth. In their quiet labors, they felt the steady heartbeat of the world beneath their hands, a rhythm that carried them into a future filled with gentle possibility. The gods watched from the skies and the branches of Yggdrasil, their eyes soft and patient. The lessons of Ragnarok lingered, but they were tempered now with calm and understanding. Power, they realized, was best exercised with mindfulness, patience, and a gentle hand, like the careful tending of a garden after a long winter. As night fell, the stars appeared one by one, twinkling softly in the darkened sky. Their light was steady, unhurried, a quiet guide for all who slept beneath them. Each constellation seemed to hum a gentle lullaby, carrying the stories of gods and men, endings and beginnings, in a rhythm that soothed the heart and eased the mind. And so the world slept. The green earth rose fully from the waters, the gods and humans alike resting under the serene sky. The pulse of life and destiny flowed softly, carrying the universe into a gentle, dreamlike peace. And as the realms slumbered, the story of the 9 realms became a lullaby, a quiet, timeless rhythm guiding all who listened into rest, reflection, and the gentle embrace of dreams.